The human body is a marvel of evolutionary adaptation, and fever is one of its oldest and most powerful defenses against disease. We all know that feeling. Fever creeps in, leaving you drained and uncomfortable. It's natural to want relief, and many people reach for medication to lower their body temperature. But is suppressing fever always the best course of action? This question leads to a fascinating discussion about the origins and purpose of fever, its impact on our immune system, and whether or not it should be fought with medications. To fully appreciate why fever is such a critical part of our immune response, we need to explore what fever is, how it works, and how it has persisted as a defense mechanism across millions of years of evolution. The heat of life. Temperature's role in survival. Temperature is one of the most fundamental elements governing life on Earth. From the cold depths of the ocean to the scalding heat of volcanic vents, organisms have adapted to survive within very specific temperature ranges. Life as we know it thrives in temperatures ranging from -10 degrees Celsius 14 degrees Fahrenheit in the deep sea to over 120 degrees Celsius 248 degrees Fahrenheit near thermal vents. Step outside these boundaries, and life struggles or ceases to exist. For each living organism, whether an animal, plant, or microbe, there is an ideal temperature range where they function optimally. For humans, this is around 37 degrees Celsius 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, a temperature at which our cellular machinery operates most efficiently. Our metabolic processes, enzyme functions, and overall bodily systems have adapted to this warm, consistent internal environment. Humans, like other warm-blooded animals, expend a great deal of energy to maintain this stable body temperature. This might seem wasteful on the surface, but it is, in fact, an essential survival strategy. Our body's baseline temperature makes us resilient to one of the most persistent threats to life: fungal infections. Too hot for fungi, a built-in defense. The fungal kingdom is teeming with species that can infect and damage various organisms. Cold-blooded animals are particularly vulnerable to fungal infections, as their body temperatures fluctuate with their environment. However, for humans and other warm-blooded creatures, the story is different. Our internal temperature of 37 degrees Celsius is simply too high for most fungi to thrive. Fungi, which rely on external temperatures to regulate their metabolic processes, cannot survive in such a warm environment. This subtle but significant adaptation gives us a natural resistance to a wide range of fungal infections that affect other species. This brings us to fever, a highly effective tool our body uses to increase temperature and further weaponize this inherent defense against invading pathogens. Fever, nature's climate change. When a pathogen, whether bacteria, virus, or other harmful organism, enters your body, it faces an inhospitable world. Fever is essentially your body's version of rapid climate change. By raising your core temperature, your body forces the invading pathogens into an environment outside their ideal temperature range, making it increasingly difficult for them to survive and multiply. Fever is not unique to humans. It is an ancient defense mechanism that evolved at least 600 million years ago and is widespread across the animal kingdom. Most animals exhibit some form of fever when they are sick. Fish swim into warmer waters, lizards bask in the sun, and bees heat up their hives to combat infection. Fever, in one form or another, is a universal defense against pathogens. For warm-blooded animals like humans, fever offers a far more drastic response. Our bodies don't rely on external heat sources like the sun or warm water. We generate heat internally, creating an effective and immediate response to infection. The fever response. When your blood turns into lava. Imagine you've been invaded by both bacteria and viruses. This invasion is powerful, and your body needs to slow it down as quickly as possible. Fever is one of the first lines of defense, and it is triggered by a diverse group of chemicals known as pyrogens. These are aptly named heat creators and are released in response to infection. Pyrogens pass into your brain and activate receptors that signal your body to increase its internal thermostat. At this point, several things happen. First, you begin to shiver. This rapid contraction of your skeletal muscles generates heat, raising your body temperature from within. Simultaneously, the blood vessels near your skin's surface contract to prevent heat loss through your skin. As a result, While your core temperature rises, your skin may actually feel cool to the touch. This systemic response is a serious energy investment for your body. For every degree Celsius your body temperature increases, your metabolic rate rises by about 10%. This means your body is working much harder to maintain the fever, burning more calories and resources to sustain the immune response. Fever also forces you to rest, conserving energy so your body can focus on fighting the infection. The battle within. How fever affects pathogens. On the battlefield inside your body, pathogens are trying to multiply and spread. Bacteria, in particular, have shifted into high production mode, attempting to replicate as quickly as possible. This requires immense resources, and they are under significant stress. The last thing these pathogens need is additional stress, but fever piles it on. In addition to triggering inflammation, which floods the infected area with fluids, attack proteins, and immune cells, the fever creates a hostile environment. The rising temperature begins to break down the bacteria's cellular components. Their membranes rupture, their DNA gets damaged, and their ability to produce proteins diminishes. For the bacteria, it's as though the world is on fire. But fever doesn't just target bacteria. Viruses, too, suffer from the heat. Many viruses, such as the rhinovirus, which causes the common cold, can only survive in cooler environments. In fact, this virus is primarily limited to infecting the respiratory tract, which is naturally cooler than the rest of the body. Fever raises the body's overall temperature, making it difficult for such viruses to continue replicating. The human cell's response to fever. Of course, fever affects your own cells as well. Virtually every organ and system in your body operates less efficiently when you have a fever. You feel exhausted, your muscles ache, and your brain may feel foggy. However, there is one crucial exception: your immune system. During fever, the immune system actually performs better. White blood cells, such as neutrophils, are recruited more quickly. Other immune cells, like macrophages and dendritic cells, become more efficient at devouring pathogens. Natural killer cells, NK cells, and killer T cells are also more effective at identifying and destroying infected cells. Moreover, fever triggers your immune system to withhold critical resources like iron, glucose, and glutamine, which pathogens need to grow. By depriving them of these nutrients, your immune system creates a sort of food desert within your body, further starving and weakening the invading microbes. Heat shock proteins, the cellular SOS. At the cellular level, both healthy and infected cells produce heat shock proteins, HSPs, in response to fever. HSPs are responsible for repairing damaged proteins and ensuring that cells survive the stress of elevated temperatures. However, this response is a double-edged sword for infected cells. When cells produce too many HSPs, it signals that they are under extreme stress. This excessive production of HSPs essentially acts as a distress signal, alerting the immune system that something is wrong. Natural killer cells and killer T cells are drawn to these stress cells and begin destroying them, along with the viruses they harbor. In this way, fever not only weakens the pathogens directly, but also helps the immune system identify and eliminate infected cells more efficiently. The evolutionary dilemma of fever. Fever has persisted across millions of years of evolution because it is an effective weapon against infection. But why haven't pathogens evolved to withstand fever? The answer lies in an evolutionary dilemma. If a pathogen survives long enough within a feverish host, natural selection will favor individuals better suited to withstand higher temperatures. Over time, these heat-resistant microbes would become more common. However, this adaptation comes with a cost. Once a pathogen is heat-resistant, it may struggle to infect new hosts with normal body temperatures. Healthy humans, with their baseline temperature of 37 degrees Celsius, are too cold for heat-resistant microbes to thrive. As a result, these pathogens are at a disadvantage when competing with non-heat-resistant strains. This creates an evolutionary trap, where pathogens cannot fully adapt to fever without compromising their ability to infect healthy individuals. Fever and modern medicine, to medicate or not. Given the powerful role fever plays in fighting infection, why do we so often try to suppress it with medications? The widespread availability of over-the-counter fever reducers, such as ibuprofen and acetaminophen, has made it easy to combat the discomfort of fever. However, this practice raises important questions about whether suppressing fever is always the best choice. When fever becomes dangerous. In most cases, fever itself is not harmful. For adults and children, fevers below 40 degrees Celsius (104 degrees Fahrenheit) are generally safe and do not require treatment. In fact, these mild to moderate fevers can help the immune system do its job more effectively. However, there are exceptions. For certain populations, including pregnant women, the elderly, and individuals with compromised immune systems, fever can pose additional risks. In these cases, the extra stress placed on the body by fever may lead to complications. Pregnant women, for example, may be at risk for preterm labor or other complications if they experience a prolonged, high fever. In such cases, it is often advisable to manage the fever with medication. However, for healthy individuals, the decision to take medication should be weighed against the benefits of allowing the fever to run its course. The psychological component of fever. Another factor to consider is the psychological discomfort caused by fever. Fever often brings with it unpleasant symptoms, such as chills, body aches, and headaches, which can be particularly distressing for young children and their parents. In these cases, treating the fever with medication provides not only physical relief but also psychological comfort. Parents, in particular, may feel anxious when their children develop a fever, worrying that it could lead to more serious conditions like seizures. This concern is understandable but should be tempered by the knowledge that fever-induced seizures are relatively rare and typically do not cause long-term harm. In most cases, the fever is part of a healthy immune response, and treating it prematurely may slow the body's recovery. Fever in the context of viral and bacterial infections. One of the most common causes of fever is viral infections, such as the flu or common cold. Viral infections typically trigger mild to moderate fevers, which are not life-threatening and do not require antibiotic treatment. In these cases, allowing the fever to run its course can help the immune system clear the infection more quickly. For bacterial infections, such as strep throat or pneumonia, fever may be more severe and prolonged. In these cases, antibiotic treatment may be necessary to resolve the underlying infection. However, even in bacterial infections, fever itself is often a sign that the immune system is working to fight off the invaders. Suppressing the fever with medication may provide temporary relief, but may also prolong the infection. Conclusion: the balancing act of fever. Ultimately, fever is a complex and highly evolved defense mechanism that plays a crucial role in the body's immune response. While it can be uncomfortable and even alarming, fever is often a sign that the body is successfully fighting off infection. For healthy individuals, allowing a mild to moderate fever to run its course can support the immune system and lead to faster recovery. However, for vulnerable populations or individuals experiencing extremely high fevers, medication may be necessary to prevent complications. The next time you experience a fever, consider the evolutionary wisdom behind it. Your body is waging an internal war against invaders, and the heat of that battle may be your best defense. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest insights.